Hello everyone! Sorry it's been a while since the last upload. I've been busy buying all these pound-upon games. You know how it is. But I'll talk to you guys about something that I feel like I was quite privileged to miss out on. See, growing up, I had a Dreamcast and my best friend had a PlayStation. As we got older, I got a PS2, he got a GameCube, and another friend got an Xbox. So I've always had a chance to play across all consoles. And I feel like that's kinda defined what I play today. I play across everything, no matter if it's PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, Neo Geo. I play across pretty much everything, and because of that, during the Wii era, I not only had a Nintendo Wii, but also a 360 and a PlayStation 3. Not all at once, I wasn't just this super rich child, I kinda just didn't spend money on anything else, so all my birthdays and Christmases were spent getting more consoles and more games. I was a sad kid, so both because of the friends I had and the consoles I had, I was never really restricted in what I could play. But some people were.
Last gen is such an interesting time to look back on. It was a beefy generation that evolved a ton over its life cycle. I mean, the 360 launched without Wi-Fi, it took memory cards, and Xbox Live games couldn't be larger than 15 megabytes. WiiWare was made fun of for that, but Xbox Live Arcade was the exact same. But every single aspect of that system changed. The 360 that launched was not the 360 it ended as. It even lost this feature. And then we have the Wii. This thing changed the entire console landscape and got more people playing games than ever. You would have been hard-pressed to go around someone's house and not find a Wii there, but that doesn't mean that Wii owners were buying the big games. A lot of people just bought these things for Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Just Dance, and Mario Kart, as the industry likes to call them, casuals. Third-party developers typically made very particular types of games for the Wii. Sure, there are a bunch of exceptions, but most of the big high-budget games were made for the HD Twins, and not the Wii. However, not often, but sometimes, a developer would deem it worth the effort to demake a game entirely for the Wii. No other console generation quite had this divide in power and inputs, so bringing a game over was no simple task. This often meant if a game were to launch day and date with the other versions, it would be made by a different developer with completely different creative liberties. And other times Wii ports would come years after release and would basically be the same game with visual cutbacks. Now we're not going to be looking at Wii exclusive installments of franchises like Dead Space Extraction or Final Fantasy The Crystal Chronicles The Crystal Bearer. What a name! But rather games that launched on this, and have the same name. I know very well the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 is one of the best games of all time, but it wasn't a 360 demake, so don't leave that comment. Don't do it! Sonic had an interesting life on the Wii. Despite Nintendo and Sega being rivals in the 90s, Nintendo kinda became Sonic's new home. The adventure games were ported to GameCube and not PS2 or Xbox, and the Game Boy Advance and DS would even get their own sub-series with Advance and Rush. The Wii would even get 3 exclusive 3D games, 4 HD ports, and even a Sonic Riders port, and a bunch of Olympic games as well. So let's start with a small one I'm sure many people have forgotten even exists, Sonic 4 Episode 1. You can no longer buy this on the Wii because the Wii Shop channel is unfortunately dead, but it was a pretty good port. I actually kinda prefer how Sonic 4 looks on the Wii more than 360. On 360 he looks like he's dripping in oil, which is something that the Adventure DX games did too, so maybe Sega just liked that. Not judging. On PS3 there's also oil, but it's not quite as oily. And the Wii version's the only one that doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, and I like that in a game. This game was initially developed as a mobile title, so it shouldn't be too shocking that it runs on the Wii just fine. But yeah, this is Sonic 4 with less oil running on the Wii. Nothing's downgraded, nothing's really worse, it's just the same game. Say what you will about this game, but the Wii port, it's fine. But the 3 other games are a lot more intense, so let's start with the big one. Sonic Unleashed came out 2 years after Sonic 06, and boy, what a difference a few years can make. This truly feels like the last high-budget Sonic game, and that's not to say that colors and generation aren't great. I actually like them a great deal more than Unleashed, but you can feel the money being poured into this one. There's a brand new engine, an amazing CG intro, and hell, despite some technical limitations, I'd say Unleashed looks a hell of a lot better than Forces. And that game came out 10 years later on next generation hardware. And plus, this screams next gen a hell of a lot more than this. This really was a AAA Sonic game, and the lead up to it was an exciting time to be a Sonic fan. So, did it live up to the hype? I mean, this has been said to death. The daytime levels, spectacular, these are great, but everything else? It kinda has the same undoing as most 3D Sonic games in that the basis is a lot of fun, but if the game were nothing but the fun parts, it would be really short. At moments, it's one of the best 3D Sonic games as you're boosting your way through these beautiful stages at blistering speeds, and then the next you're jogging through these hubs until you find the right guy to talk to, you're revisiting levels to find enough medals to continue the story, and of course you're playing as the Werehog, whose stages are multiple times longer than Sonic's, and multiple times more of a snooze cruise. I know some people like the Werehog, but I've given it multiple chances and I find this gameplay so boring. However, despite what I think about it, Unleashed was high budget in another respect. They made two of it. One for PS3 and 360, and one for Wii and PlayStation 2. They share the same stories and level settings, but in terms of design, these are completely different beasts. The Wii and PS2 versions were built on a different engine, but it feels really similar. The entire control scheme carries over really well to the Wii, and while you can play with a classic controller or GameCube controller, I went for the true Wii experience and used a Wii Remote and Nunchuck. You have to thrust forward to do a homing attack, which isn't too bad, but thrusting also activates the boost. It's not only quite unresponsive, but sometimes you find yourself boosting when you meant to do a homing attack, and that can kill you. And to be fair, the HD version has the same problem. The boost's also really weird, where once you activate it, you boost uncontrollably until a small meter of your gauge depletes, so like you can't just hold it down like in the HD version. I don't mind this too much, but there are definitely some close calls when boosting through a line of enemies. You never quite know if you're gonna make it. But there are some pros to the Wii version, like the medals. In the HD versions, these were scattered around every level, and they gate progress. So you'd end up having to explore them a lot out of fear of not being able to continue the story, and even then it's really easy to miss some, so you've got to replay levels a lot in the HD version. Whereas on Wii, you get them for finishing levels. That is so much better. But they still do gate progress. When you finish a level, it asks you if you want to keep going, and what it means by that is do you want to play the same level again, but in a variant, and doing so will get you another medal. It's definitely a better system than 360, but it's also still padding. So it's like, well done finishing that level, now do this part again, but don't touch the ice! Werehog levels are shorter on the Wii, so that's kind of a bonus, but they're also considerably more boring. The HD versions at least have mediocre platforming to break up the mediocre button mashing, but the Wii version is a lot more basic, and you're mostly just slowly going from one enemy room to another enemy room. It's clearly the secondary version, and while I still like the daytime stages, they weren't designed with the scope of the HD version. Hell, a couple of areas are flat out cut, like Missouri is nothing more than a boss fight now. I'm okay with the hub world being cut though, like it's so much easier to get on with the game in the Wii version. You might have noticed though, the Wii version uses 360 cutscenes, and that's especially jarring when the story leans into a gameplay element that was cut from the Wii version. Like on 360, you take Tails' plane and go through the sky chase-like zone, whereas on Wii, oh, we're done. And they don't trust Wii owners to understand how to jump. The early game has these tiny tutorial levels all built around a specific move. Like there's a level for jumping, a level for sliding, a level for boosting. Could this have really not been one level? Or like, not exist? It even asks you if you want to stop playing before you really start playing. Like, is that a warning? A lot of people point to the Wii version having a higher metascore as proof of it being better, but boasting about a 66 over a 60 is kind of a weird brag. And I don't know, the bad parts don't last as long, but neither do the good parts. Is that a win? I mean, I don't think so, but I'm also not much of a Sonic Unleashed guy. Good thing the Wii got Sonic Colors only 2 years later, taking the daytime formula of Unleashed and made an entire game around it. If you only played Sonic Unleashed on the Wii and were worried that you were robbed of the true experience, then I've got good news for you. It's still just as middling on 360. But this is one of those examples where I suggest playing both versions if you're really into it. They are wildly different games, and I can see the pros and cons of each version. The Wii also got Sega Superstar Tennis and Sonic and All-Stars Racing, which were both pretty fantastic ports, although there's no Banjo-Kazooie. But I'm in this game! Racing in particular holds that remarkably well, and as one of those heathens who liked playing Mario Kart Wii with motion controls, it's also pretty fun here. Tennis was missing one huge feature though, online, and that's despite most big Wii Sports games, apart from Wii Sports, having online. It's not such a big deal nowadays when pretty much every Wii game's offline anyway, but at the time, that was a pretty hard pill to swallow. This was enough to stop me from even considering the Wii version. Online's how I get my value out of these kind of games. But if you look past that, which you kind of have to now, this is still a really solid port, and Wii owners who enjoyed Wii Sports were always looking for more games that expanded upon those particular sports. So the Wii had a bunch of bowling games, a bunch of baseball games, and of course, a bunch of tennis games. And I would say this is one of the best tennis games on the Wii. Sega also used some fan art as a placeholder in All-Stars Racing, which was patched out of the other versions, but seeming as you can't patch things out on the Wii, here it is in all its glory, can't do anything about it. Whoops! You're unlikely to find anyone online in the HD versions nowadays, so playing these two on the Wii is a pretty good time. Both are great ports, and the motion controls are very natural. Call of Duty was pretty popular before the 360 era, but Call of Duty 4 was where this thing became a juggernaut. This game completely changed the landscape and set the direction for the majority of shooters to follow, and for the most part, the Wii was part of Call of Duty's last-gen journey. The system launched with Call of Duty 3, and World at War, Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 all launched day and date with the HD versions. The only game that we missed out on was Modern Warfare 2, which admittedly had one of the biggest cultural impacts. But to get games like World at War on the Wii at the same time as other versions, they had to make pretty big sacrifices. Entire levels of the campaign were flat out diced, and the Nazi zombie mode was nowhere to be found, meaning this is worthless. However, I want to focus on the big one. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Reflex Edition. That subtitle means it's for cool kids. This came to Wii 2 years after its initial release on the exact same day as Modern Warfare 2 on other platforms. So while everyone at school was talking about Modern Warfare 2, you could say, well yeah, but I can see the side of my gun if I tilt the Wii remote. The modern mix of gyro and sticks is my favourite way to play a shooter, and that passion initially started when playing games like Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii. I even thought the conduit looked cool. So playing Call of Duty 4 this way makes it feel less like a downscaled version and more like a practical alternative way to play the game. These controls feel really good. Though a lot of the aiming in Call of Duty relies heavily on aim assist. Like they teach you this right at the beginning, which was always really strange. Like they show you how aggressive their aim assist is. The iron sights just latch on like magnets, and so I don't know if motion necessarily makes me better at Call of Duty, but it's definitely a fun way to play the game though. I like that holding down the A button stops the camera from moving, allowing you to basically move your gun anywhere on the screen. It's a far more versatile feeling scheme than even the main version of the game. But visually, yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat it. They had to make a deal with the devil to get this game running on the Wii. But when you're used to seeing games like this, it's insane seeing a game on the scale of Call of Duty make it over with zero cuts. Everything is here. Every campaign mission, every multiplayer map, it's the full package. Hell, it's one of the few Wii games to still have official servers running.
Hey, this is Editing John here. So as of July 13th, around 2 weeks ago, it seems that the online is actually not active. Let's try and go on Nintendo Wi-Fi connection right now. You get that? So I think Call of Duty may have gone offline now. So it lasted much longer than other Wii games. This might just be temporary, but yeah, right now, you can't play it online, so ignore what I said.
They did half the frame rate to 30 FPS while running the entire game through an ugly machine, and even then the Wii clearly wants to cry out during ambitious moments like this. But holy crap, this is one of the era's defining games, and it's on the Wii in its entirety. This might be the most impressive port in the entire system. It's not the definitive version of the game, but it's perfectly playable. The new controls are worthwhile, and I really can't imagine a bigger third-party get. Future games like Modern Warfare 3 would add classic controller support, and while that's cool if the Wii's your only console, I'm personally playing 12-year-old Call of Duty games on the Wii for their Wii features. You can use the aiming dot to pretend you're on the Disney Channel. Now don't worry, I've saved the weirdest for last. So Dead Rising was the next-gen showcase of the Xbox 360. Look at how many zombies are on screen at once! If that's not next-gen, I don't know what is. Weirdly, while the PlayStation 3 were jumping on the sequel, the original Dead Rising stayed exclusive to Xbox 360, at least until the next generation of consoles. But technically, there was also a Wii version, Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop. This basically took all the next-genness out of Dead Rising, so instead of 100 zombies on screen at once, we got like 10. And kinda like Sonic Unleashed, this game uses Xbox 360 cutscenes. There's moments where it's like, whoa, there are so many zombies! How are we gonna get out of this one? And then you just kinda, like, walk by them. Like, I'm sure this park is meant to be packed with zombies, but it's kinda just a relaxing, mellow walk. There's this one point in the original where the game shows you all the survivors rapidly losing their lives to the Horde, and it's a heavy moment, you believe it because there's so much going on. But on Wii, you just kinda take their word for it. The Xbox box art says this game was not developed, approved, or licensed by the owners or creators of Dawn of the Dead, but the Wii version doesn't say that. So is this or is it not Dawn of the Dead? I went years without picking this game up, but something always had me curious. That damn cursor! That's the Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition cursor! So okay, that game has godlike aiming, so they must have just brought over the same aiming systems for Dead Rising, right? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop is very clearly built off Resident Evil 4. Here's what I mean. Obviously yes, the aiming is the same as the Wii version, but the menus are also extremely similar. Not seeing it? Here's the saving menu. Still nothing? Alright, what about this one? This is the exact same menu. The controls are also the exact same, only Frank West is always running, there's no more run button. But it's still so much more than just controls and menus. Certain animations and sound effects are directly from Resident Evil 4. I've heard this handgun pop too many times to not know it when I hear it. And those Wii Remote shaking illustrations also look very familiar. And this is just blatant.
Follow me! Come on! Follow me!
Follow me. Wait. Follow me. Wait. Follow me. Wait. Follow me.
So not only is it a weird Dead Rising demake, but also a weird Resident Evil 4 asset salvage, and it doesn't particularly succeed in matching the quality of either of them. There's some really weird gameplay omissions, like the camera's always around Frank's neck, but he only takes pictures during cutscenes, whereas on 360 that was a core part of the gameplay. The timer system is also entirely gone, and this gave the game so much personality and a sense of dread. It was kinda like Pikmin and Majora's Mask. It was a key part of that game's identity. And yeah, there is some sort of timer in the Wii version, but it doesn't go down, it goes up. This is basically for a Sonic-style grading system and doesn't really impact anything. And the aiming system is still really good. I mean, of course it's good, it's from Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition. But Dead Rising isn't exactly all about gunplay. It's more about improvising with the strange things you find in the mall, so it's not really put to the same use as Resident Evil 4. It's not an awful game, but if you want to play Dead Rising, then this isn't really enough. This feels like a game for those who didn't like Dead Rising, it's just not close enough. But still, if you're a big Resident Evil 4 fan like myself, then this is a fascinating game. Almost every single gun, along with their animations and sound effects, is pulled directly from Resident Evil 4.
I feel like the title, Chop Till You Drop, is just referring to the game itself, like how much can you chop off until this is no longer Dead Rising anymore. And I can't think of any passionate developer who would be like, yeah, let's bring this to the Wii. It must have just been some business guy who were like, yeah, this game with 800 zombies on the screen. Can you put it on the Wii? And I guess that's a testament to how big the Wii really was. Like, Wii and 360 were so different in power, but developers would still want to try and squeeze their games onto that platform. And sometimes they worked.
And sometimes they go through the crazy effort of making the game compatible with the Wii Zapper. Oh gosh, I tell ya, developers these days, nothing on them.